welcome to JoJo's Corner. Today I'm so excited to bring you guys another book review. This is for a fiction book. I loved it. I cannot recommend it anymore, but I will try to do so in this video. And the book that I'm talking about is Unrivaled by Siri Mitchell.
Lucy Kendall returns from a tour of the continent, her luggage filled with the latest fashions and a mind fired by inspiration. After tasting Europe's best confections, she's sure she'll come up with a recipe that'll save her father's struggling candy business and reverse their fortunes. But she soon discovers that their biggest competitor, the cheat who swindled her father out of his prize recipe, has now hired a promotions manager, a cocky, handsome out-of-towner who gets under Lucy's skin. Charlie Clark's new role at Standard Manufacturing is the chance of a lifetime. He can put some rough times behind him and reconnect with the father he's never known. The one thing he never counted on, however, was tenacious Lucy Kendall. She's making his work life miserable and making herself impossible for him to forget.
This was the first book that I read by this author. I do have another one of her books on my bookshelf right behind me. She Walks in Beauty. I've heard a lot of good things about that book, and I can't wait to check it out now that I've read this one. I am loving this author, and yeah. So let's talk about Unrivaled. I absolutely love that this book was set in 1910-ish. In the St. Louis area. I think it just added to the whole atmosphere of the book, and it was just a huge part of the book, and I loved it so much. I loved that Siri chose to set this book in this time period, in this place. I think it was just wonderful. As you're reading, this book just sucks you in. You feel like you're there. You feel like you're in St. Louis. You're in the time period. The writing, it just throws you into this whole other world. And you can totally picture everything that's going on in the book and the characters. This book is told from two different point of views, from Lucy Kendall's point of view as well as Charlie Clark's point of view. And I absolutely love the book was written in this style because these are rivalry families, and to be able to hear Charlie's thoughts and what's going on in his story as well as flipping over to Lucy, what she's thinking, what's going on in her life, and to see these two back and forth, it just made for such exciting storytelling, and it just made it so you couldn't stop reading. Let's talk a little bit about the characters. I absolutely love these characters so much. These are probably some of my favorite characters of any book that I've read this year. Main character Lucy is totally determined, a little bit headstrong at times, but she is so likable, and I absolutely admire totally her loyalty to her family, to her father's candy company, and her just determinedness to save the company. It was so awesome. And in no way, shape, or form does she overshadow the other character in this book, Charlie. He was such a likable character. It was so fun to see him sort of try to get his bearings and his footing in this whole new world, this world of candy making, getting to know his father for the first time in his life, who abandoned him. It just made for such interesting storytelling. Him not knowing what's acceptable and not acceptable in this society. When these two characters get together, it's like magic. And there's definitely some hilarious moments, as well as some very sweet moments between these two characters. This book was so enjoyable. And let's talk a little bit more about the fact that it was written in two POVs, because as the reader, you know things that the characters don't know. And sometimes when an author does that, it can be like the author's giving too much away. But in Unrivaled, you didn't feel that way at all. And especially since it's a rivalry, you knew things that they didn't know. And it's almost like you're just like, guys, if you would just sit down and talk about this, then everything would be okay. But of course they're not going to. So I love stories like that. And if you love stories like that, check out Unrivaled. You will love it. In a way, this book is definitely a Romeo-Juliet type love story. I love those. I love romance stories where the characters have to overcome just obstacles, be it family not wanting them to be together, as in Unrivaled, or just different circumstances and things that they is preventing their love from taking shape. And Siri did such an amazing job in making the reader feel the emotions that these characters were feeling. This is a super sweet, super fun book. I highly recommend it. This is probably one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I give Unrivaled by Siri Mitchell 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely. I will give you a warning about this book though. I read this book around Easter time, so there was candy in the house, there was candy in all the stores, and reading this book, warning, will cause major candy cravings. So be forewarned. I have also created a Pinterest for this book because I loved it so much. I picked out actors that I thought embodied these characters and just some fun things over there. So if you would like to check that out, that would be awesome. This has been my review for Unrivaled by Siri Mitchell. From JoJo's Corner, until next time, happy reading. Bye everybody.